It was our 5th anniversary, and Sarah insisted on going to Costello's, a ridiculously expensive Italian restaurant. I had hoped for something more personal, like the pizza place where we had our first date, but she shot that idea down immediately. We arrived at the restaurant, and Sarah was in a good mood, mainly because I had just landed a lucrative contract. I went to pay the bill at the front desk, a habit I developed after my card was once skimmed at a restaurant. On my way back to the table, I had to pass behind a partition where Sarah and her Aunt Lisa were sitting. I overheard their conversation. "Does Jake still think you love him?" Lisa's voice slurred slightly from the drink she had been having. I froze, listening closely. Sarah's response was clear, with a smirk in her voice. "Of course, his credit is great. And he pays for everything. Why would I leave?" They both laughed. Lisa said something else, but I could not catch it. Sarah replied, "Well, Mom and Dad were right about one thing. Marrying a tradesman means he will always be too busy to notice what I am doing." I stood there completely still, not in shock, but in a strange sense of confirmation, like all the doubts and suspicions I had been quietly harboring for years finally clicked into place. I walked back to the table, sat down, and finished my drink while they continued their conversation. Sarah, unaware of what I had overheard, went on about her day. When we got home, she noticed I was quiet but did not press it. "Just tired," I said, explaining that I had a big project starting the next day. She nodded, quickly losing interest as soon as she knew it was not about her. I did not sleep that night. Instead, I made a plan. The next morning, I contacted my bank and credit card companies to have Sarah removed as an authorized user, citing suspected fraudulent activity. By noon, I had called my lawyer, my accountant, and my business partner. That evening, I moved half of our joint savings into my separate account and froze the rest. Sarah did not notice anything was off for the first day. She went about her usual routine: Pilates, lunch with friends, shopping, while I went to work like normal. I kissed her goodbye, told her I loved her, and felt an odd sense of detachment, like it was too easy to pretend. 2 days later, Sarah tried to pay for a spa day with friends using my American Express card, only for it to be declined. She tried another card with the same result. Frustrated, she called me, her voice tight with controlled anger. "There is something wrong with the cards," I just calmly replied. That is strange," I asked her, sounding concerned. "I paid all the bills last week. What are you trying to buy?" "Just lunch," she lied. And I could see the notification pop up on my phone. A $900 charge from a spa. "Can you call the bank? I am in meetings all day. But I will check tonight," I suggested. She hesitated, knowing I was aware she only kept her personal card for emergencies with a low limit, since she had no income to support it. "Fine," she replied sharply before hanging up. 3 hours later, my phone buzzed nonstop with texts from Sarah demanding to know why the joint checking account was frozen. I did not respond. I was in meetings all day. When I finished, there were 27 missed calls, and a voicemail from my lawyer confirming that he had filed the preliminary divorce paperwork. I drove home expecting Sarah to be there, angry and waiting with accusations. The house, however, was empty. According to the doorbell camera, she had left with 3 suitcases 2 hours earlier, heading straight for her parents' house. The next morning, Lisa called. I almost did not answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "What have you done? What did Sarah tell you?" she demanded, her voice thick with emotion. I countered. "She said you lost your mind, frozen all the accounts, cut off her cards. Some kind of male midlife crisis." Lisa's outrage was practiced, like she had done this before, always taking Sarah's side. "Did she happen to mention our anniversary dinner? Your little chat at the table?" I asked, my voice cold. There was a brief silence, then a shaky breath. "You heard every word, Jake. We were just talking. Women say things sometimes. It does not mean." "Save it, Lisa," I interrupted. "I have already filed for divorce. Sarah can contact my lawyer if she needs anything." "You are making a terrible mistake," she said, but the conviction had drained from her voice. "Sarah loves you. She is just complicated." "No, she is actually very simple once you understand her motivations," I responded. "Tell her," I said. "Thanks for the clarity." Then I hung up and blocked both their numbers. The situation escalated exactly as I anticipated. Sarah's father called my business partner, threatening to ruin us unless I fixed things. I received a letter from a divorce attorney, known for being aggressive with wealthy clients, demanding immediate restoration of Mrs. Harrison's lifestyle. Sarah even sent a mutual friend to my office, hoping to appeal to my emotions. None of them knew how prepared I was. My lawyer countered with evidence of Sarah's spending habits, records of her contributions, or lack thereof to the household and my business, and large transfers to her personal account that she had hidden from me. The tone shifted dramatically. Her lawyer requested a meeting downtown. When I finally saw Sarah again, she looked flawless, but her eyes were cold and calculating. "This is unnecessary," she said without looking at me. "We can fix this without lawyers. I prefer having witnesses to our conversations moving forward," I replied, my voice calm but firm. Her attorney cleared his throat, then said, "My client is willing to consider a fair settlement that acknowledges her contributions to your success." Patricia, my no-nonsense lawyer, slid a document across the table. "My client has already outlined what he considers fair, given the short duration of the marriage, and the documented evidence of financial impropriety. We believe this offer is more than generous." Sarah snatched up the paper, reading it with growing confusion before it turned to outrage. "This is insulting," she hissed. 5 years of my life, and you offer me less than I had before we met." That is when I finally spoke directly to her. "Before we met, you at least had a job, and the respect of working for something. Consider this an opportunity to find that person again." Sarah snapped, "Your business would be nothing without my connections." "Actually," I said, "I have analyzed our client acquisition data. Less than 8% came through your network, and those clients had the lowest retention rate. But thanks for your concern about my business." Her lawyer whispered something to her, and she shook her head vehemently. "We will need time to consider this offer," he said diplomatically. "Of course," Patricia replied, "but I should mention that my client has extensive documentation regarding Mrs. Harrison's spending habits, including some interesting purchases made during weekends. She claimed to be with family." Sarah's head snapped up. What does that mean? I had not told my lawyer everything, but she was astute enough to spot the patterns in Sarah's credit card statements. Weekend charges that match social media posts from a certain male friend of hers. "It means fighting this will be more expensive and embarrassing than accepting it," I said as I gathered my things. "Your call." As we left, Sarah called after me. "You would not even have met the Brightons without me or the Winston. You think you did this all yourself." I turned back, meeting her gaze. "You know what is funny? I always gave you credit for believing in me from the beginning. Now I realize you just saw me as a stock to invest in. Your mistake was selling too early." 3 weeks later, Sarah signed the settlement agreement. She got less than 15% of our assets, which was still enough for her to live comfortably if she was careful. I kept the house, the business, and most importantly, my peace of mind. The day after the settlement was finalized, Lisa texted me from a new number. "You were smarter than the others," she miscalculated. I did not need to ask what she meant by the others. I simply replied, "No, her biggest mistake was thinking money was all I cared about." It has been 2 months now. The business is thriving. Turns out clients prefer working directly with me rather than through Sarah's network. I have heard through mutual friends that Sarah is living in her parents' guest house, telling anyone who will listen that I had a breakdown and ruined a perfect marriage. Maybe in her mind it was perfect. She got the lifestyle she wanted, and all it cost was pretending to love someone. But here is what Sarah never understood. I did not build a successful business by being naive or sentimental. I built it by paying attention to details, by recognizing patterns, and knowing when to cut my losses. I applied those same principles to our marriage. I just wish I had done it sooner. Last week, I donated all of Sarah's remaining things to a women's shelter. As I dropped off the last box, one of the volunteer coordinators asked if I would consider joining their fundraising committee. They needed help planning a renovation for their facilities. We are getting coffee next week to discuss it. Nothing fancy, just 2 people talking about something that matters. For the first time in years, I am looking forward to a conversation that has nothing to do with status, money, or appearances. It turns out clarity is the most expensive thing I have ever paid for, and worth every penny.